Malta QROPS, Gibraltar QROPS, frozen QROPS, platforms and investments. That was a tongue twister. This morning we're joined by Senior Advisor Jonathan Laws, who's joining us from East London to talk everything about QROPS from a Malta and Gibraltar perspective. Good morning, Jonathan. How are you?
Morning, Dom. Yeah, I'm good. Good, thank you. Yeah.
Straight to the punch. Obviously, we're talking about Malta and Gibraltar-based QROPS. Could you give us a brief explanation for our viewers of what a QROPS is and roughly how they work?
Yeah, so a QROPS is just a designation given to a certain overseas pension that has met certain criteria and can accept in the transfer of a UK pension. There's no particularly fancy or fan-dabby-do thing about them. That is literally all it is. They're close enough to a UK pension. They are overseas and they can accept a UK pension transfer. That's all they effectively are.
Okay, so in the context of obviously today we're talking about Malta and Gibraltar-based QROPS, could you also outline what the other main jurisdictions, or maybe not main jurisdictions, but what other QROPS jurisdictions sometimes come up in conversation?
Yeah, so sometimes you'll see someone who's got a QROPS in Australia. That's a very big one. You know, QROPS in Australia are a way where a lot of people there's a lot of really good potential tax planning there. There are some potential pitfalls and some, once you make a decision, you can't go back. But, Australia is a very big place. You also see Canada is another one. You then see sometimes the Isle of Man, which is, something we're actually, funny enough, dealing with quite a lot at the moment, although, a bit of a nightmare dealing with the authorities over there and trying to sort out what best to do with QROPS there. So they're kind of the other kind of main jurisdictions. But for a Cameron James, certainly most of our clients, certainly most of the people coming to us, or those who are particularly caught up in this video, whether it's all the horrible dodgy stuff, unfortunately, the vast majority of it you will find was unfortunately perpetrated, these two jurisdictions, which is Malta and Gibraltar.
Which brings me nicely onto my next question. Why are so many people currently reaching out to Cameron James asking questions about their Malta or Gibraltar-based QROPS?
Because, there's for myriad reasons. One is they're probably paying really high fees. They probably had an original advisor they haven't spoken to since they sold it, or not spoken very fleetingly. There's all sorts of kind of question marks about investment performance and the effects of charges and opaque things and this, that, and the other. So that's kind of the main kind of bucket of people that get to us is, look, I'm paying silly fees, my investment's going nowhere, and my financial advisor's not doing anything. Why am I paying these fees? Surely there's something better. The other kind of main one is obviously, this is people who've already got QROPS, is unfortunately that something has happened to the QROPS, whether it was the trustees in trouble and gone into administration, whether it was the bond provider and the platform's gone into trouble or administration, or even the underlying investments. Unfortunately, you've seen all sorts of horrible things sold in QROPS, storage pods, car parks in Dubai, properties in Cape Verde, blah, blah, blah. But even the more mundane types of investments, like these property funds that all got frozen, during the pandemic. So those are kind of the main things. It's those paying high fees who want to see what's better, and it's those who are kind of unfortunately in the horrible predicament of having lack of access to any of their funds for a myriad of reasons.
So to that end then, could you say a lot of QROPS have been a good idea or a bad idea for clients? And generally, what are the key advantages and disadvantages that clients may have heard in the past or may still be looking at now?
Yeah, so I told this analogy to someone on one of the victim support groups I help out with the other day, and it did tickle them. But I kind of use the QROPS are a bit like the analogy is a bit like they're a hammer. It's just a tool. If I put the tool in the hands of a craftsman and builder, it's fantastic. You build amazing things. If I put it in the hands of a serial killer, it's not so good. So unfortunately, a QROPS probably not quite that extreme, but put the QROPS in the hands of a good person, a good advisor, a Cameron James advisor. Well, we'll only ever advise a QROPS for really overwhelmingly positive reasons, and where the rationale there makes sense and makes it better. They can be great. There's all sorts of chances to benefit from, well, originally it was lifetime allowance, but there could be some FX stuff. There could be jurisdictional changes locally. especially in the EU. A lot of people in Australia and Canada are very happy with their QROPS, but the problem is QROPS have been used and abused by pick an expective or whatever you want to call them, who have used them as a way to basically extract wealth from poor, unsuspecting retirees or expats, and because of that, they've generated a lot of negative connotations, and a lot of people associate them with bad outcomes and bad advice, and to be honest, it's incredibly well justified. And even now, the vast majority of people, who have UK pensions, probably, apart from a few cases like Australia, should not be going anywhere near a QROPS because there's no justification. And in fact, it's probably a very good indication that the advisor you're speaking with is doing it for their reasons and not for their benefits and not yours. So that's kind of why we come across, QROPS now, and if they're a good idea or a bad idea. Get one advice from Cameron James, probably a great idea. Get some advice from 6 or 7 years ago, probably not.
And to that end then, could you give us some examples of where QROPS have gone wrong and clients have ended up with frozen funds?
Yeah, so obviously there's a big case at the moment where a lot of people are advised into QROPS who lived in the US, probably shouldn't have been. Now they've got all sorts of tax issues. Actually not technically a QROPS issue, more of a jurisdiction issue. You then have, a lot of people who've got in touch saying, oh, I've got a scheme in Gibraltar and it's just gone into administration and now I can't touch my money, or I can't touch much of my money. I can't transfer out, I can't do anything. So that's a common one. We're seeing there's a lot of people, who have an old bond. Actually, the QROPS might be fine, the bond might be fine, but they invested into some dodgy storage pods, and they can't do anything with them because that money's frozen or it's gone to zero and collapsed, or whatever. So, those are kind of like the situations you see. Sometimes it'd be someone where the trustee's gone into trouble, the QROPS trustee, they're in administration, they've got to wait for that to it. Then it might be the bonds in trouble, or the offshore investment bond, or the investment platforms in trouble, which is the big case at the moment we're seeing a lot of. And then it can also be the actual underlying investments are in trouble as well. So there are kind of three areas there where you could, potentially get hit. And unfortunately, I'm sure there are people out there who've basically got all three that have affected them, the poor sods. So, yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but no, yeah, it is something that we do come across. You either have to laugh or cry, which I've told many clients over the course of the years. So, Jonathan, what would be your general advice to clients who are in such a situation as that? They have a frozen something or other along the chain of the trustee, platform, bond, underlying funds. What would your advice to them be?
Yeah, so the first is get it out of your system, because you're probably angry, you're probably confused, you're probably frustrated. Don't bottle it. It's only going to explode at another thing. So you're right to be angry. You're right to be frustrated. Just don't take it out on us when we're trying to help. That's a big one. But again, everyone at Cameron James kind of anticipates and expects and understands, a reflective kind of, well, I can't trust any of your advisors approach when you've been through all of this. So, you just need to say, right, let's find someone I trust. Let's find someone really heavily, regulated and qualified and seems trustworthy and great reviews. And I've spoken to his clients, and they are not a crook. And go through an advice process, see what can be done. We have plenty of people we're helping at the moment who are not going to become clients for Cameron James for 12 months, 18 months, maybe even longer. But we are very happy, to kind of give generic guidance. When we get information, we'll send it across. And when everything's kind of unfrozen or fixed, most of them, touch wood, we'll be coming along with Cameron James and joining the family, as it were, at the end once things are better. But, go through the advice process. What can you do once everything's, as good as it's ever going to be, i.e. you can access the funds, and then kind of go from there.
And some of these clients are perhaps in sort of in-between land at the moment. Is there anything you think that they definitely should not be doing right now?
Yeah, well, it's just very easy to say, but you don't want to be panicking. You want to make sure you're being constructive. Yes, it's a horrible situation to be in, but you're a captive audience. Let's use this time constructively to forge a path forward, plan ahead. So that's my kind of general guidance. Perhaps find someone completely independent. Heck, ask them. Did you ever sell any of this rubbish? That's probably a good one where you'll probably find. Did you ever tell someone to stick it in this platform? Did you ever tell anyone to stick it in this investment? That's probably quite a good way of making sure you've got someone who's not going to get go round 2 or 3 of this rubbish. So that's what I'm kind of saying. Do your homework. Try and find a good advisors. One of the I'm sure. I think we've got another question. We'll get onto it well about finding an advisor. So we'll get onto that in a second.
So to that end, then, clients who are inside of QROPS, obviously, if things are frozen, it's complicated to transfer out. But by and large, can clients transfer out of a QROPS, or are they stuck for good?
Yeah. So, and to be honest, this doesn't just necessarily apply to QROPS. The exact same could be if you were stuck inside the UK pension. It's very, very kind of similar things go on, and kind of put that kind of harks on to our point about, QROPS in and of themselves are not bad. There are plenty of people inside the UK pension who have the exact same issues that, have befallen a lot of these QROPS, clients. But no, as at the time, if you're frozen, you're not going anywhere. By definition, you're frozen. You're going to need things to unfreeze before you do anything. But it doesn't mean you can't weigh up the options in the future. Get a decent idea of what you're going to be able to do, where you can go, who they are, vet them, cost them up, etc., and have a plan in place that when the funds are unfreezing, you know exactly what you're doing, and you're in a position where you're at the front of the queue, ready to move on and make just move on in life and hopefully never have to deal with that rubbish ever again.
And this is coming on to the question that you were mentioning before. What key considerations should clients with frozen investments keep in mind before deciding on their next steps or potentially selecting a financial advisor?
Yeah, so as I kind of alluded to, a really good way is to ask, when you're looking for a financial advisor, ask him, did you ever recommend, are you fans of these trustees? Are they a trustee you use very often? Oftentimes we find the trustees we find coming upon to these issues are firms we'd never have advised in a million years. Apart from maybe some legacy products and stuff we took on from clients. Have they ever used these platforms? Have they ever recommended these types of investments? But you have to do your due diligence. There are plenty of people out there. When they see a pension collapse or a platform freeze or this, that, and the other, it's like sharks circling. The poor sailors. In the water. It's a feeding frenzy, and you've got to be very careful that you're not the one eating next. So you need to do your due diligence, do your homeworks. As many people know, not most, that's not fair, but a lot of financial advisors, will not necessarily always be, the most open and transparent, especially about, past employers they might not be happy about or past advice they've given, etc. And you really need to do your homework because, one of the things that's come very common to us is, when we're comparing to other advisors, we are much more transparent than the vast majority in terms of how we work, where we work, what we do, who we are, etc. And there are many people who are making decisions from an incredibly uninformed position, and don't actually realise that the minute they find out a pertinent piece of information, are actually kind of shocked and angered all over again, and even less trusting of financial advisors. So yeah, you really need to go through the advice process, and actually. Again, I think Dominic might be your job, but one of the documents we did, we actually put together. I think we have a YouTube video on it, but we were sick and tired of clients basically asking, "Hey, how do I find someone good?" That we put together, 12 things to ask your financial advisor document, which is fantastic. Again, it's not foolproof. Advisors don't have to answer it accurately. But you give that to an advisor, you ask them the questions, and most of those boxes, if not all of them, should be ticked. And that will tell you a good chance you've got a good advisor there. It's not foolproof, but it's a good tool in your belt to use. So that's one of the things we kind of suggest as well. Use some of the tools we put out there to help you find someone And there will be other advisors out there that match the criteria, and you don't go with Cameron James, and Cameron James has helped someone else get clients. Say la vie. At least you found a good one, and you're not going to be touch wood taken for a ride again. So that's kind of what we've said.
And I know what you're talking about there, the 12 things. So yeah, I've done a video on it. I also put a whole PDF checklist together for clients. I'll ask the team to add it in the description section below. It asks really detailed questions, quite literally 12 questions to ask your financial advisor, which are the most annoying questions you can ask on the planet. And it will show your financial advisor or anyone you're working with that you know what you're talking about, or at least someone has told you to ask the right questions. I honestly would hazard a guess, knowing the British as I do and knowing the way that they're not really very upfront or forward about things, even when it comes to large amounts of money, I think seldom clients who we've even sent that document to would have the confidence to go and ask a financial advisor those questions. They would just kind of look at it and say, so we put all this information out there. We tried to help people from, stop working with less scrupulous financial advisors. But unfortunately, a lot of people, in my opinion, still get caught up in that, oh, well, I met them for lunch or I went to their office or it all looked really good. I personally think meeting with financial advisors in person decreases the due diligence that clients do compared to working online. If you're working with someone online, you think, oh, I better really know and trust them because I'm working with someone online and I haven't met them before. So actually, we're kind of trying to turn the model around a little bit on its head at Cameron James. So Jonathan, if a client came to you with a frozen pension platform or fund, what would you be focusing on with them first?
Yeah, so I would want to know, fortunately at Cameron James, most of us advisors are complete dorks and we're very curious people. We want to know absolutely everything about what your situation is. So we're going to want to know, who are the providers, how. Okay, it sounds like you're in a bit of trouble, but how much trouble are you? So we want to know, how much money is exposed, how many fund units, where's the money located. So we want to get all of this together so we can collate all this information together so we can properly assess, what we think the likely, outcomes and timelines and all the rest of it are going to be. But apart from that, engage, go through the process, find someone trustworthy who you think is going to be able to help you. Go through a formal advice process, get formal regulated advice that reviews your options going forward. At the moment, technically speaking, when you've got a frozen fund or platform or whatever it may be, you can't really give technical advice on that because the money's frozen. I pick a figure, but I don't know if that figure is going to be correct because there might be a big haircut or it might not be as bad as we think. So, it's a moving target. So it's more of like a sales tool, but, don't go signing up with any advisor until you know everything. We've come across plenty of people that signed up with someone going, oh yeah, I like him and this, that, and the other, but they have absolutely no idea what they're going to be doing once the funds are unfrozen. They don't know what it's going to cost. And the problem is when you get into situations like that, and it might be a year or two down the road, you go, oh, well, yeah, I know he's expensive, but I've liked him and I've been dealing with her for the past 18 months. I'm just going to go with her. And I haven't really looked at what the better options or other options out there might be. So, you really want to get different opinions, speak to people, speak to clients. That is my number one thing, and it's actually a pet peeve of mine when prospective clients don't want to speak to my clients. It's like, Cameron James, we have all these fantastic Google reviews. It's great. There's other reviews, all 5-star, fan-dab-you-do. But fundamentally, there's a lot of products I bought on the internet that are all 5-star that come in the post and it's broken and it's rubbish. So the best way you're actually ever going to be able to find out, whilst it's a very good sign that you got those reviews, is to actually speak to someone that's been through the process. Is Jonathan full of it? Is Andire full of it? Is Dom full of it? Is Angela blah 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 full of it? Do they actually do this? Are they as diligent as they say? Are their planning meetings as good and as productive as they say? Do they respond to emails like they say they do? All these kind of things, that you're not really going to know unless you hear it from the proverbial horse's mouth. And that's why we're very big on people speaking to our existing clients so they can give it to you from the horse's mouth about our services. And probably we don't coach them. They will let you know. They'll let you know what it's really like, and that's the best way to do it. Because unfortunately, a lot of people, especially in this platform, you don't know what good financial advice looks like. You had a salesman sell you into some dodgy products, probably took you for horrible commissions, into all sorts of unscrupulous or second, third, fourth rate providers and platforms and all the rest of it. You didn't have much of an ongoing service. It was much of a once a year chin wag if you were lucky to get them on the phone. And you don't know what you don't know. our clients are the best ones to kind of you to ask questions of and do your vetting. And if you're making a decision on an advisor without speaking to without doing that level of due diligence, then unfortunately you might find yourself going through round 2 or 3 of rubbish advice. And getting back in touch with us in 2 years, saying, "Hey, Jonathan, should have taken your advice. I did it again. Can we go for a proper advice process, a proper due diligence process? Because I don't want to make that mistake again."
Yeah, and again, it just coming into my head here. There's something so very English about this for me, and it's the fact that a QROPS, you have to have a UK pension pot in the first place. By default, that means most people are British. There's just something in British culture that I find that people don't talk directly about things. There might be something very small. Say, for example, if somebody's Tesco order is delivered or whatever maybe they're using Waitrose, whatever it might be, if 5 of the products have been exchanged, the person will probably challenge Tesco about that. They'll send them an email about it over the sake of £14.27. When it comes to hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of assets, clients don't challenge the people that they're working with. They don't challenge the financial advisors. They take it for gospel what the person has said, when often these people are not even FCA regulated. FCA license in the UK is obviously of our UK residents, but it applies for us in terms of consumer duty. All of our advisors understand what consumer duty is in the UK, and they try to give that as a best standard of practice to our clients wherever they may be residing. So Jonathan, final question to you. What would your general message be to clients who are maybe feeling concerned about the situation to help them navigate through it effectively?
Yeah, so, you need to go into, you need to remember, advisors like Cameron James and all the rest of it are trying to help. So, you want to go into it open-minded, knowing we're here to help and let's give you good advice. We understand the anger and frustration, and to be honest, some of the stuff we've seen makes us angry and frustrated. I'm sure clients are watching this video who can tell how annoyed some of this stuff gets to me. Being the self-righteous sod I can be sometimes, but you want to make sure there is nothing a kind of dodgy offshore pension pusher likes than someone coming to him angry, frustrated, emotional, and talking about costs. Like if you go into a process, say, "Oh, I've already been ripped off. I want cheap. I want it quick," you're gonna get expensive, and you're gonna get slow, and you're gonna go through round 2 because there is that they're gonna prey on you and manipulate you, and they're not going to disclose everything, and you're just gonna you're gonna do it all over again. So unfortunately, cheapest. Like most things in life, cheapest ends up being the most expensive because you end up then having to pay. So it's like you go to the cheap garage and then it all breaks down, and then you got to take it to the middle market one to fix all the damage the cheap garage guy missed and all the rest of it, or the cheap garage guy or mechanic as they're called. So you want to go through it, keep a cool head, speak to several advisors, do loads of vetting, read reviews, speak to clients, especially for those of you who you're frozen, you're not doing anything. You're not making most people who are watching this video are on a frozen platform or a frozen bond or frozen investment. You're not going anywhere anytime soon. So why rush? Let's use this constructively to find someone you trust, you like, and all the rest of it. So you think you can help, giving good advice. Vet everything. Oh, you think I should go to that platform? Why? What are the regulations of that platform? Because there are household name providers out there that everyone goes, "Oh, that sounds good. That must be FCA regulated," and they're not. They're Jersey regulated. 99% sure, absolutely nothing's going to go wrong. But I know for heck, it doesn't sound as positive or as secure, as strong, or peace of mind inducing as an FCA regulated platform and all the FCA regulated rules you have to adhere to. So, go through it, be thorough, ask all the questions, probing. If anyone who's ever dealt with me knows I love a good bit of challenging to anything I say, and a bit of back and forth and answering questions. Always happy to answer. We are the most breathtakingly honest and transparent and upfront firm of advisors you'll ever see. Almost probably too much at times. I'm sure there's probably some things in this video that I've probably gone too far, but say la vie. It's the right way to do things. Honesty and transparency is the best approach.
Indeed. Jonathan, thank you for your time this morning. So viewers, if you're watching this, if you're any of the situations which me and Jonathan were discussing this morning, you can reach out. Our team will put both mine and Jonathan's email address at the bottom of the screen now. So if you want to reach out, these are also in the description section. You can also use the calendar link as usual in the description to book a free consultation to learn a little bit more. And as a last bonus question, Jonathan, could you outline to clients roughly how long it would take from the point of doing a fact find with you to have their free QROPS recommendation report in writing with them?
Yeah. So, obviously, depending on, the level of what the frozen, if it's some type of fund and you can't even get a hold of the trustee, it could take quite a while. But, if you're on a frozen platform or something, or a frozen, or you've got a frozen fund, we do the fact find, we do the letter of authority, we send a letter of authority off to the scheme. Because obviously we've got FCA regulated advisors, even if you're not getting FCA regulated advice, the fact that they type my name up and they see us on the FCA register is a huge bonus for them. Forget about the fact that our quality advice is made much better because of it as well. They'll usually do that pretty quickly. And, once we get the scheme information back, it will often take us about a week because we've already done a lot of background homework and drafting of skeletons for the advice. So, about a week, once you get that back to us, we'll share it with you, securely through a Google Share folder. You'll review it, get you booked in, we'll go through it together. It might be months or years before you can actually do anything once you've read the advice report, but at least you'll have a report to look at, and you'll be able to use that as a barometer when comparing it to other advisors. Because, as you alluded to, Dom, whilst we only UK FCA regulation only applies to UK residents and advice we give to UK residents, every single bit of information and good practice we take from the FCA and Consumer Duty, we give to all our other clients. The advice process we give and the quality of our advice reports and what we do for our ongoing service is absolutely identical, whether you live in London or you live in Timbuktu. And that's just the way we want to do it. Does it make what we do more expensive? Yes, but we want to provide the highest quality of advice, and it's not moral for us to think to give different levels of service to different clients. That's not the way we roll, as it were.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining. Viewers, look forward to hearing from you. And as always, take care with your UK pension assets.